In this episode, we're summarizing the 9th episode from Season 3 of the Wire series titled Slapstick. The episode first aired on November 21st, 2004. In the beginning, at the Major Crimes Unit, Cedric Daniels meets with the detail to discuss setting up the wiretaps on the Barksdale organization's disposable phones. Assistant State's Attorney Rhonda Perlman explains the legal requirements for doing so. McNulty and Greggs must demonstrate the inability to infiltrate the Barksdale crews using undercover methods first, before being able to set up the wiretaps. Freeman and Prez prepare wiretap affidavits. Sidnor traces Bernard for phone tracking, and Officer Massey returns to monitoring Stringer's movements. Perlman aims to expedite the wiretap process. In the meantime, Daniels reminds the teams the wiretaps will be short-lived regardless. McNulty tries to call DiAgostino, but cannot seem to reach her assistant. Daniels and Perlman then meet with a cell phone company executive who claims it would take 30 days to respond to a court-ordered wiretap. Perlman is angered by the company selling phones suited for drug traffickers and delaying wiretaps. She threatens a public statement accusing them of protecting drug dealers. The executive quickly agrees to a 4 to 5 day turnaround instead. After monitoring Bernard's mobile phone purchases, Sidnor informs Freeman and Prez that he bought 24 cell phones from 5 different locations, increasing the quantity farther from Baltimore. Freeman decides to set up DNRs, pen-registered devices, on all of the phones. Prez and McNulty, waiting for food, hear an emergency request for backup on their police radio. They rush to the location. Prez drops McNulty off, who later finds Prez standing over a deceased person. McNulty discovers a badge on the person, and Prez explains he saw a gun and fired. As other detectives arrive, McNulty identifies the deceased man as a plainclothes officer named Derek Wagner. McNulty informs Greggs, who shares the news with the rest of the team. Daniels advises Prez to consult a union lawyer due to the racial aspect of the shooting. Prez denies racism, fear, or anger as motivations, but struggles to remember details. Daniels emphasizes seeking legal help, but Prez decides he is done as a police officer, expressing remorse to Freeman through Daniels. Outside, Daniels informs Landsman that Prez requested a lawyer and asks Rawls for an officer to stay with Prez overnight due to suicide concerns. Valchek questions Daniels about backing Prez on the racial issue, but Daniels does not respond. As we catch up with Dennis, aka Cuddy, we see him supervising landscapers that are cleaning the vacant building he will be using for their new community boxing gym. The deacon visits, impressed with Cuddy's efforts, but advises him to obtain necessary permits from the city council, a step Cuddy had not considered. Cuddy struggles with bureaucratic red tape when trying to obtain the required permits on Monday. Cuddy seeks help from the deacon, who connects him with Reverend Frank Reed. Reed advises Cuddy to get a prominent endorsement for permits. Cuddy contacts State Delegate Odell Watkins, and after a meeting, Watkins introduces him to Marla Daniels. Watkins supports Cuddy's gym initiative as it aligns with Marla's district and gains favor with Reverend Reed. In the Western District, the deacon visits Western District headquarters to speak with Major Howard Bunny Colvin about his drug-tolerant zones initiative. Colvin, retiring, leaves a decision about sustaining the initiative to others. The deacon sees an opportunity for a truce in the drug war and a chance to connect with the involved community. Ellis Carver and Thomas Herc find the body in Colvin's Amsterdam zone. Carver wants to move the body discreetly to avoid alerting homicide, convincing the uniforms Tope and Gillen to help. Detective Michael Crutchfield later inspects the staged scene. Herc decides to report Colvin's actions to the Sun newspaper. Colvin discovers that Detective Crutchfield knows the body in Amsterdam was moved. He appreciates Carver's loyalty, instructing him to claim Colvin moved the body if questioned. To resolve the issue, Colvin promises Crutchfield a suspect, but requests the body's relocation to be omitted from the case file. Colvin then meets with the crew chiefs, warning them of Amsterdam's closure if the murderer does not surrender. Remember, I am summarizing this entire series as well as other popular works of literature, movies, and TV shows as well. Subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss the next episode or series. If you would like to see the playlists of our summaries, click on the link in the description. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter for additional content. Click like on the video if you found it valuable, because that helps YouTube recommend it to viewers like you. Consider supporting us on Patreon if you can. Doing this helps my channel out tremendously. I really do thank you for your support. Later on in the political world, Councilman Garcetti discusses Councilman Anthony Gray's mayoral candidacy, focused on education issues. Garcetti advises a cautious approach to separate Watkins from the mayor. Gray proposes Garcetti join his ticket as council president. Garcetti and Gray meet Watkins to discuss a witness protection plan. Garcetti persuades Watkins to provide funds to convince Mayor Royce to initiate the plan. Watkins openly expresses his dissatisfaction with the mayor. As we catch up with the Barksdale organization, Omar Little visits his grandmother's house to take her to church, while Barksdale soldiers Gerard and Sapper surveil the place. Gerard, hesitant to violate the Sunday truce, attempts to contact Slim Charles for guidance but is unsuccessful. Stringer Bell leads a co-op meeting where members criticize the Barksdale-Marlow turf war for attracting police attention and increasing violence. Proposition Joe blames Avon Barksdale during the meeting. Shamrock gets a call from Gerard about Omar. Stringer approves the action. Omar, alerted, escorts his grandmother into a waiting taxi, evading gunfire from Sapper and Gerard. Slim Charles scolds Gerard and Sapper for breaking the truce, especially when Omar was with his grandmother. He emphasizes the failure to kill Omar and the damage to the Barksdale reputation. Slim criticizes them for disrespecting Omar's grandmother's hat, suggesting they were poorly raised and would not have behaved that way if raised properly by their own mothers. Bernard and Squeak rent a car to purchase additional disposable cell phones for the organization, unaware that Detective Sidnor is tailing them. Bernard provides his cell phones to Shamrock at the funeral home. Shamrock requests receipts, but Bernard claims to have lost some. Shamrock notices Gerard and Sapper criticizing their poor judgment and violating the Sunday truce. Avon ignores Gerard and Sapper when he comes downstairs to talk to the other soldiers. After the meeting, Avon informs Stringer about new soldiers from the east side on retainer. Stringer shares the co-op's concerns, but Avon is uninterested. Avon questions Stringer about the Sunday truce breach, and Stringer claims ignorance of Omar being with his grandmother. Avon is disappointed and concerned about rumors. Stringer proposes increasing operations in Colvin's free zones despite the halt in business. Proposition Joe meets with Marlowe's advisor, Vincent, to arrange a truce meeting. Vincent is weary, suspecting Avon's involvement. Joe proposes Marlowe join the co-op and retain his territory. Vincent reveals Marlowe perceives Avon as weak and aims to seize control of the west side. Stringer confronts Senator Clay Davis, frustrated that despite bribes, his property development business faces bureaucratic obstacles. Davis asks for more time, advising patience and a departure from the street mentality, but Stringer remains unsatisfied. Avon discusses with his sister Brianna the possibility raised by McNulty that her son D'Angelo was in fact murdered. Avon denies any involvement and tries to convince her that McNulty is lying. Stringer, who ordered D'Angelo's death, remains calm. Brianna, seeking reassurance, implies Avon's involvement, and he vehemently denies any connection to it. Brianna senses there might be more to the story. A Barksdale crew chief meets with Stringer and Shamrock to address Colvin's ultimatum. He asks about the murderer's connections and decides to have him surrender. Shortly afterward, the crew chief brings the boy to the Western District. Later on, Omar recounts his narrow escape to Dante and Kimmy, expressing outrage that the Barksdale organization would attack his grandmother on a Sunday. Feeling ashamed of his life, he decides to go after Barksdale again. Kimmy opts to leave for easier money elsewhere, but Dante supports Omar, but is informed that Omar intends to go after them alone. That was episode number 34, titled Slapstick. To watch the next or previous episode summary, click on the link in the description or at the end of this video. In the description, you will also find additional links for supporting our channel. I will see you on the next episode. Goodbye. We upload new videos every week, so subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to hit the like button as well. Click the notification bell to be notified of when we upload these videos. See you on the next episode of Culture Screen.